Chapter 11. Turning the Power On. Max, Gabe, any thoughts on restoring the power? Will asked over the main channel. Maxim nods to Gabe, who answers, I have several thoughts about restoring power to this vessel, Captain. Would you like to hear them? Will tuts. Actually, no. I just want to know if you can get the power restored, even just to the bridge. Gabe tilts his head and turns to look at Prothea, who shakes her head while Jorlu nods. I will have to get back to you. The tall droid walks over to the two scientists. Ladies? Jorlu takes a breath. While I certainly could spend years getting to know this ship and its systems, I believe I can at least start the main reactor. I cannot guarantee I can direct power to the bridge specifically. However, I assume powering the bridge in emergencies would be an automatic response, so the ship may take care of that on its own once the engine starts. Maxim looks appraisingly at the tall, skinny engineer. Impressive, I agree. Peacekeeper vessels operate in much the same way. Priority 1 systems and locations get power first, automatically. He nods to Gabe. Gabe nods back. Captain, we believe we have a plan to restore power. Please stand by. To the two scientists, he asks, how can I assist? This reactor, while large, seems to share similarities to the reactors I have worked on aboard Peacekeeper carriers. The three of them head off towards the massive structure at the back of the room. Maxim turns to look at a console in the corner. He walks over to it, muttering, Weird. Over the comms, Will asks, What's that, buddy? Maxim runs his hands over the blank console. There are no inputs. This console is blank. Except for a single feature, there's a slot in the center. He walks over to another console. This one as well. Will is silent on the comms for a second. Yeah, there are a few panels like that up here also. Any thoughts? Maxim shrugs, then realizes Will can't see him. No, I'll consult Gabe when he is done working on his current project. Sounds good. Maxim, your assistance would be beneficial over here. Gabe calls back from the back of the room, where he is standing to one side of the massive engine. Walking around the large structure, Maxim sees the bottom half of Prothea wiggling around in a hatch about a meter off the deck. How can I help? Gabe points to a panel opposite the one Prothea is waist deep in. It is about 3 meters high off the deck. Can you assist Jorlu in gaining access to that panel? The Burzod looks over at Maxim. I do not weigh much. My bones are hollow. Maxim just stares at the three-eyed scientist and says, good to know. He leans down and cups his hands in the universal step here manner. The tall physicist steps lightly into his hands, and he effortlessly lifts her over his head. You are light. The waiting is the worst part. 30 minutes pass before Gabe comes back on the comms. Captain, we believe we'll be restoring function to the main engine in moments. Please stand by. Will looks at Zephyr and shrugs. Guess we see if it's possible to jumpstart a warship. He glances up to the pillar in the middle of the bridge. From out of nowhere, there's a loud clunk, causing Zan to jump, hitting her head on the console she's under. Ouch! Wasn't me, Will shouts, as Myrta and Zephyr both turn to look at him. There's another clunk, then 2 more. Then the pillar in the middle of the bridge starts to glow more brightly, the colors swirling. Gabe, stuff is happening up here, is that you? Yes, Captain, I believe so. We've successfully restarted the engine. The reaction is stabilizing now. Will looks around the bridge, where consoles and displays are coming to life. The glowing pillar thing is even brighter now. Yep, looks like things are coming to life up here. While Will is talking to Gabe, Myrta slips around behind a console. This one is bigger than the rest and sits facing the glowing pillar. From his mission bag, he withdraws the device he was instructed to print and attaches it to the underside of the console. Small tendrils snaked out of the sides and pushed through the alloy and into the electronics inside. A light on the side of the device comes on, followed by several others. Hey, Myrta, check this out. Will is motioning to him. Quickly, Myrta walks around the console to join Will, Zephyr, and Zan. What is it? How the hell would we know? Will asks. We're on an alien derelict. He raises his hand to cut off the coming rebuttal. But Zan thinks it's the main control relay. What they are looking at appears to be in a corner of the bridge, set into an alcove. A series of blinking red lights ring the device. The little furry physicist nods. I think we can get the main computer online with this. It appears to have tripped. Murda tuts, looking at the device on the wall. You think? Zan lets out a low growl. What part of alien derelict was lost on you? Go secure something. She waves the grumpy Harrith security officer away. Turning back to the console, she grumbles. You think? Yes, I think. I'm super smart, you're not. What's that? Murda asks, from a few paces away. Nothing. Will stifles a laugh. Alrighty then, Zan, you do you. Hey Max, why don't you all regroup up here on the bridge? We're on our way. Zan nods to Will, who grabs the relay and pushes it back into place. It doesn't take more than a second for the remaining consoles to come to life. Every light in the room comes on. The central pillar brightens further, the swirling light show intensifying. Whoa, Will murmurs. Zephyr steps around the console she's been working toward the central pillar. The lights inside are swirling at a frenetic pace. She points about halfway up the length of the pillar. Is that a face? Holy crap, it is Zordon! Will shouts, coming around to the side of the pillar she's pointing at. Zan and Murda joining him quickly. Zordon, where are the Rangers? Where's Alpha 5? The face taking shape in the pillar is humanoid-ish. 2 eyes, 1 mouth, no nose that Will can see. The face tilts slightly, as if noticing the crew of the Ghost for the first time. The eyes are bright blue, pulsing. Guys? What's going on over there? Benny asks, over the comms. I mean, I know the reactor is online, but I'm seeing systems coming online all over the place. Plus, we're being scanned. Something is accessing the Ghost computer. Can you stop it? Will trades looks with Zephyr. Murta glances at Zan, then to the console hiding his device. System status online. Time slice unknown. External linkages offline. Vessel status. Hull integrity nominal. Main engine at 50%. Increasing to 100. Drone status. Exploration drones 100%. Utility drones 100%. Defensive drones 100%. Interrupt. Foreign vessel detected at airlock Omega 11. Initiate electronic countermeasures. Scanning foreign vessel. Accessing foreign vessel. Accessing foreign vessel computer systems. Foreign vessel language files identified. Downloading. Accessing foreign vessel navigational database. Downloading. Interrupt. Life forms detected. Biological infection must be contained. Initiating internal defense response. Sealing bulkheads to contain infection. I'm trying. Did you think I'd just let it happen? Before Will could answer, Benny continues. It's accessing our comm system. Looks like the language translation libraries. He pauses. And the navigational database. Zan, who had been listening, murmurs, Of course, it won't know Galactic Standard or Harrith, or anything else from this region of space. Whatever was hacking us, it's stopped, Benny reports. Will looks back up at the face, to see it staring right at him. Biological infestation. Initiating countermeasures, it says. Its voice is flat and emotionless, vaguely masculine. Okay, definitely not Zordon, Will says. Then, Max, scratch getting up here. Head to the airlock. Benny, extend a tube. We're not going to have time to EVA. On it, Benny says, through what might be gritted teeth. Doors close, doors open. We're on our way. Max closes the comms channel and looks over to Gabe and the scientists. Time to go. Gabe, Jorlu, and Prathia join him at the sizable featureless console he's standing next to. Jorlu leans down and runs a hand along it. Shouldn't we stay here to monitor the reactor? The engineering space is coming alive. Lights are on. Consoles are active. And what looks like a master situation display shows what Maxim assumes are sections of the ship coming online. Small dots are moving around the display. Maxim shakes his head. We'll come back. Will wants us all on the bridge. We go to the bridge. He looks over to Gabe. Things stable enough here? Gabe nods. I think so. The engine, while quite powerful, is not that different from those found on Peacekeeper command carriers. As far as I can tell, the reactor is stable. Power generation is currently at 50%. He turns to the large display and points. As you can see, several systems are now online, or coming online. He points to a particular section. I believe that is the bridge. On the display are 4 bright red squares. Maxim nods and turns for the massive blast door that they'd previously come through. Good. Let's move out. I don't like the crew being split up like this. Guys, what's going on over there? Benny asks, over the comms. I mean, I know the reactor is online, but I'm seeing systems coming online all over the place. Plus, we're being scanned. Something is accessing the ghost computer. Maxim turns to Gabe. Can you do anything? Unlikely. I would need to find a central computer access terminal. I am sure there is one in this section, but do not know what it would look like or how to access it. I'm trying. Did you think I'd just let it happen? Benny's voice sounding panicked. It's accessing our comm system. Looks like the language translation libraries and the navigational database. Prathia claps her hands. Of course. It doesn't know how to communicate with us. It certainly wouldn't know any languages we know. Jorlu nods. That makes sense. Our universal translation systems would also likely be foreign to it. I wonder why the ship didn't interface with Gabe. Gabe tilts his head. I am glad it did not. Whatever was hacking us, it stopped, Benny reports. Well, that wasn't, Maxim starts, when Will shouts over the comms. Max, scratch getting up here. Head to the airlock. Max immediately starts moving for the door. Let's go. Before anyone else can move, the lighting shifts to red, and the massive blast doors begin to close. Max grabs Jorlu by the collar and hurls her across the threshold. He nods to Gabe as they sprint for the door. Gabe reaches back and grabs Prathia, lagging behind. I apologize, he says. Prathia flies through the doorway, with only a meter of open space left. Gabe and Maxim are still at least 10 meters away from the threshold when Gabe grabs Maxim and shoves him as hard as he can. Maxim flies through the door, just as it slides closed with a metallic clang. Gabe, no! Maxim shouts, slamming an armored fist against the door. Jorlu and Prathia are standing together. The shorter scientist is holding the taller, their faces somber. Prathia looks at Maxim. What do we do now? She asks, voice low. Maxim turns to the scientist, shaking his head. Will, Gabe. The blast door opens. Gabe walks through. We should be going. The captain sounded urgent. Maxim stammers. Never mind. Then, turning to the droid. How? From the comms, Benny shouts. Duh, I opened the door. My interface is still tied to the door. As if on command, the box Gabe had installed erupts in sparks. Maxim looks at Gabe. The bot looks from Maxim to the box. Good timing, we should go. Over the comms, Benny says, Team 2, Team 1 just got split up. Bulkheads are closing all over the ship. I'll send directions to your comms. Acknowledged, Maxim answers, and takes off down the corridor at a run. The past. Once he's got his coffee, Will opens up the fake laptop. It doesn't take long for the software Benny gave him to find a Wi-Fi network and escalate his privileges. Hello, unlimited and unrestricted data, Will thinks. It takes only a few more minutes for his wristcom to figure out how the internet works and begin displaying websites. Glad I don't have to do this via the command line. Sipping his coffee, he first accesses his existing accounts, email, media, and so on. Not bothering to look at anything specifically, he simply downloads it all to his wristcom, which is transmitting back to the Ghost in southern Colorado via a small satellite he left in orbit before landing. Good thing no one closed my accounts down. Hope Lisa isn't keeping an eye on these. Next, he uses another of Benny's programs, similar to the cash register hack, to fake fund his account on Amazon, iTunes, and other media repositories. Time to download it all. Sorry, big companies. I know I'm stealing from you. He shrugs. Sorry, not sorry. While his wristcom is downloading every movie and TV show possible, Will looks up his old friend James Hawthorne. Awesome. Still here in Denver, Will says. then looks up sheepishly as the young woman at the table next to his glances at him over the top of her laptop. Sorry, he says, returning to his laptop screen. While the status bar for Copy All Media works its way across the screen, he looks around the room, a couple of 20-somethings working on laptops. Will bets one is a writer. There's always a writer. And two guys in suits having a meeting about some real estate deal. Three moms with accompanying toddlers are sitting on the patio having coffee, ignoring their kids as best they can. The women all stop their conversation to stare up at the sky, pointing and getting their children to look. A few of the folks inside have noticed. What's going on? Will asks the girl nearest him. Space launch, I think. She goes back to her laptop. He gets up and walks out the door looking up. There's a contrail reaching up from behind the high-rises. At its tip, a small shape. Looks like a newer model of the Titan heavy lifter, Will thinks, whistling appreciatively. He turns to walk back in when he hears, Will? Shit. What are the odds? Will growls under his breath. He slowly turns. James Hawthorne is standing 10 feet away from him, holding a leash of a small dog. Hi, James. He raises his hand in a kind of half-wave. You're supposed to be dead, his old friend says, louder than Will feels is necessary. One of the patio moms turns to look at them. Oh, man, you're pretty funny. Glances around. He walks quickly over to James. Let's go inside. I'll get you a coffee. He guides the much larger man inside. Looking back over his shoulder to the patio mom, he adds, Such a kidder, this guy. Walking from the counter with fresh coffee, Will grabs his laptop and bag off the table he had been at and guides James to a table at the back of the room. Sitting down, he says, I've been meaning to call you. We thought you were dead, James hisses. Everyone at NASA thinks you're dead. Your sister thinks you're dead. I thought you were dead. He takes a tense sip of coffee. What the hell happened? How are you on Earth? Where's the Discovery? Will holds one hand up to stop the barrage of questions. It is a long, and I mean Tolkien-length long, story. Not as confusing, well, almost, but yeah, not quite as hard to follow. I mean, geez. Silmarillion, am I right? He leans his bag with the laptop still downloading all the things in it against the table leg. The pod worked more or less. Again, he raises his hand to silence his old friend. I didn't end up where we expected, though. Quite far from it, actually. Out near Neptune's orbit, not Jupiter. On top of that, the FTL system fried itself. I did everything I could, but it was dead. I thought I was going to be next. James is just staring at him. He hasn't blinked in a while. Silmarillion? He says, bewildered. Will exhales and reaches for his coffee. After taking a sip and collecting his thoughts, he dives into the story.